Okay. I'm interested in this conversation and this question because I've never asked you why you chose to be an electrician. And I'm interested in what you did that, like, have you ever had a job before where you're like, I'm not doing that for the rest of my life? And then you end up turning electrician? Like, where did you start? Because,
Where did I start? Well, my father installed flooring, and I used to go to work with him, since I can remember. And I quickly figured out I didn't want to do that. So God bless him, fantastic at his craft, true craftsman in the flooring industry, especially carpet. I speak very highly of my father when it comes to his ability to install carpet like no other, which again most people don't appreciate until you need something craftfully done with carpet. My father can do it. So I I don't know. I remember being drawn to it from the like just the interesting aspect. Like the electrician would come to the house and pull a plug out of the wall, and I'm like, oh, that's really what's behind that plug and that plate. But I actually, when I left the elementary school and went into high school, I went to a trade school, and my reason for going to a trade school was to be a plumber.
plumber.
I wanted to be a plumber. Yep.
Okay.
No, I was fixed on I'm going to I was Blackstone Valley Tech in Upton, Massachusetts, and I decided I want to be a plumber. And then I went through exploratory because you have to do so many, shops to figure out you do your top pick and went through plumbing. And the crap part was the when you did when I first started it was 2 weeks, 2 weeks. That's how the cycles were at Blackstone Valley Tech. But for some reason, because there was such a high demand of plumbing and electrical at the time, that they split them. So I only got a week of each. So it was a full cycle of 2 weeks, but I got 1 week in plumbing and 1 week of electrical. So I kind of got shorted, no pun. Went through plumbing, loved it, and then went through electrical and was like, yeah, no, this is way better. And I remember the I remember the instructor essentially crapping on the plumbers, like, if you want to use your brain and you don't want to get that dirty, like this is your job. And I was like, this is my job. So that's where it started, and I did really well. I did not do well in school at all, like across the boards, terrible. It was a fight all the way until I got to Blackstone Valley Tech and found electrical, and then I excelled. It was magical, really, from my well, at least the outer world. That like, what happened to this kid?
Yeah.
The same thing. I didn't change. You just I found something I was actually interested in and wanted to learn it. So boom, there it was. But no, I once I decided that was the trade, I went head first, doing the projects as hard and as fast as I could. Blew everybody away in my shop, like just ran with it, and not from a cocky perspective. I just nobody was really as interested in the craft as I was. Like I really wanted to understand and absorb as much as I could in the small time that I was there. And the funny part is, once I left and went out in the real world, I literally got a. Did I freeze?
The audio's there, but yeah, the video froze.
Yeah, the whole thing froze. Be the internet. I don't know why.
Oh yeah, you're
You can
good.
edit that out, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, piece of cake.
So the funny part of this is once I got into the trade in the real world, I was slapped in the face with forget everything you learned, and we're going to teach you how to do this the right way. So not that everything was not applicable, but I mean the basic theory was, but like the methods that I worked so hard to perfect and do, they were like, yeah, we don't do any of that out here in the real world. I'm like, oh, cool. Glad I spent 4 years trying to perfect this. Um, but yeah, that's the long story. And then from there it was, once I was hooked, I was hooked. Take it all the way.
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, from plumber to electrician.
When I was so the the summer I graduated 8th grade, I went to work in a mechanic shop. My stepdad owned a mechanic shop at the time. Now, so summer, this was summer of 95. And so going into high school, I was 5'2". I weighed 90 pounds and I had a mullet.
My.
Now, yeah, summer of 95. Yeah. So I was 5'2", 90 pounds, tiny. I was, actually
Yep.
the second smallest kid in my class. And the only one smaller than me was a girl. All the girls were bigger than me. All the dudes were bigger than me.
Wow. So you were
Yeah.
a little delayed, what you're saying, because you're like a Sasquatch now,
I was very delayed. And
physically and mentally, or
yes, both emotionally, maturity, all of it. I'm still hoping to develop a little bit, Greg.
you'll get there.
Yeah, but I the reason I paint that picture is because if you imagine that and then you drop me into a mechanic shop of 3 or 4 mechanics, and my job is to sweep the floor and empty the trash cans,
Yep.
and that is my job. And then I learned that my real job was to be harassed and, and hazed and thrown in the dumpster and greased. All the good things that you get to endure when you have to earn a spot in a blue collar tribe.
Wait, did you say earn?
Earn a spot. That's right.
I didn't realize we had to earn those these days.
Yeah, right. But yeah, and I worked that job for 5 years. I all through high school. So my senior year, I showed up to work in it literally in work clothes, and I would leave school and go straight to work. So I've worn jeans, t-shirt, and work boots since I was 17.
It's all starting to come together now.
See, I was shaped very early, um, in this. I think something that you said that a lot of blue collar people relate to is the difficulty in school. Um, School was not hard for me. Um,
Good for you.
yeah, I don't I don't mean that in either way. Like I just now let me rephrase that, Greg. The classes that I took were not hard for me. I did not get very far in algebra. I've never taken a calculus class, geometry. I did always struggled to pass English because apparently writing with grammatical excellence is difficult. But for the most part, I got A's and B's. Like
Wow.
through most of my adult schooling. Young adult schooling. Um,
If I came
but
home with a B, like you might as well just give me the diploma.
well, if I came home with a C, like it was hell to pay.
No, that was the equivalent of me getting like a B minus.
Got it. Yeah. But what I learned about the school system is your ability to recall. If you can retain, if you can pay attention and retain and your ability to recall, you can beat the system.
Well, of course, because I mean, it's a system of being able to retain it. You absorb and you repeat, right? Like that's all you have to do is be able to remember it all. But if you're not interested in remembering
Mm-hmm.
it, then how can you retain it? And that was my problem. And I was told I had a learning deficiency because I couldn't learn. It's not that I couldn't learn, it's because I didn't want to. What you were teaching me, I had no interest in. And even to this day, if I get so bored with somebody talking to me, like you're talking and I'm listening, but the brain has just shut off the processing. It's like, I don't know. But if I'm interested, I'm hooked. And that was the problem. So if you can absorb and then just remember it and then repeat it onto a test, you'll cruise through school. But I got the test and I'm like, what is, we went over all this? Like, I don't remember any of this. Name? What's a name? What
Who's
do I put here?
whose name is this?
Who's
Your name? Your name?
question? Whose name? It just says name.
uh, yeah,
But we laugh, but it's real.
it is real. Well, I think this is the first time I've ever talked about anything that has to do with my education because for the most part, at least the classes that I took were pretty simple for me. Now, I mean, college was different because I was in classes I had no business being in, and I flunked out of several in the in the college era. I also continued to grow in college. Greg, to your question on being a late bloomer,
Like
like
physically.
physically, yeah, physically. I think I grew until I was 20. Yeah, so but but the other thing that's interesting, and this is something I never talk about because I think it's a little bit taboo, is graduating eighth grade, at 13 or 14 years old, and then being dropped right into a mechanic blue collar culture. You're going to be forced to grow up really fast.
I mean, that's you sink or swim, right? Like
Yeah.
there is no. I mean,
In,
any craft, any trade.
in any trade, right? And but my
You're thrown in with the men immediately.
Yeah, exactly. What's also funny is I look back at some of the guys, I'm like, man, those guys were like, they're old, right? Like when you're 13, 14, like everybody's old. I am
Guys in their
older.
30s and 40s.
I'm older today than all of those guys were then.
And it seems like so far away.
Oh man. John, the guy I worked with, John, who, he really did had a lasting impact on me. But he was probably like 28, but full of tats, and he'd got a DUI so many times he just quit getting his driver's license, and didn't have all of his teeth, chewed Copenhagen 26 hours a day. Just a hard, rough son of a bitch. And he give me so much shit. I mean, he was the guy that really kind of forced me to grow up. But I remember saying something to him one day, and he said, in typical John fashion, "If I didn't like you, I wouldn't fucking talk to you." I was like, "I mean, damn, he likes me?" Like, oh, this is confusing.
I mean, those are tradespeople.
100%.
Especially, I mean, you don't understand at 13 that regardless of how good you are and what you know, you're a nuisance. And they let you know it. They let you know it not daily. They let you know it down to the minute. Like you couldn't go minutes.
That's the best word to describe a 13-year-old kid is nuisance.
You're a nuisance. You're just a pure nuisance. And so you got to understand that they're grunge. They've been doing it long enough. They're already crotchety to begin with because they got to do it. And then you throw the nuisance in, and it's like, get out of my way, I'm going to kill you.
I'm sure day one they were thinking who brought their kid to work, because I was, even though I was 13, I was the size of a toddler. So
who got this guy a job?
What is this? And yeah, so it's what I appreciate about that also is the fact that there was no filter. They didn't even pretend to cater to my elementary needs because they could give a shit.
Or none.
Yeah. So, also it's like, yes, you're forced to be a man on all accounts. Fighting, women, drinking, like the exposure to life that you get.
Dude, I remember.
No mother would sign their kid up
Hell no.
to go through that.
I mean, again, they can't be too blind to it. You're the baby boy, right? So
Right.
they know what their husband says and what he's capable of. They don't think their baby boy is capable of that. You're not until you've been in the trades for, I don't know, a hot 60 seconds. Then you're like, oh my God, what is all this stuff? This stuff is real? I've seen this stuff in the movies.
It's all real. It's
quite
real. All real. Yeah.
And it's quick. You're right. You go from boy to man real quick. And if you don't, you just don't make it. Like you leave the trade, you exit the trade. It was your best bet. If you're smart enough, you exit the trade. You quickly realize this isn't for me. I can't handle this, and I'm out. Doesn't mean you can't have a switch, right? Like I can still hang with the boys, but I can also still go home and not be an alcoholic father and beat my children.
Yeah.
No offense to the tradespeople, but it's a stereotype for a reason.
Well, one of the guys
it used to be.
Well, one of the guys, they let him turn the spare office into a bedroom for all of those reasons. You know?
I remember the exceptions that my employer made for some of the employees.
And the owner came into work. This was before any of us got there, but he went into work one day, and the guy staying there had brought somebody back that he'd met at the bar that night. And he said, I walked in and then walked over to the office, and he goes, I'm not saying that she was big. He said, but I am saying all I could see was his feet. And he was like, you good? He's like, I'll be in a minute, boss. He goes, I just turned around and walked back out.
Yep. But it's true.
You can't. I mean, I don't. You might find some place that has that acceptable behavior today, but everything that we did then is an HR lawsuit nightmare.
Oh my God.
Everything.
Literally everything.
Yeah.
If there was HR back then to the scale list, no work would get done. And there would be no employees. Everybody would have to get fired.
Ugh.
It was great. I mean, in hindsight, it was great.
Well, in the hindsight, I think that's part of the core of the brotherhood that's missing. Right?
Yeah.
Is the rite of passage.
And some of that I think has to do with the entitlement. Like a huge piece of that. Like you can be as entitled as you want. You get into the trades, like just slap the shit that gets slapped right out of you.
Yeah.
Know what you're entitled to do? Wake up and go to work and get abused. That's what you're entitled to. Pure 100% abuse all day long, every single day.
Oh, yeah.
And don't call out or let them know that you didn't come in because you felt abused, because you might as well just sign your death warrant right there. I remember there was a few times where I remember this distinctly, where my girlfriend would be like, why don't you stand up for yourself if you don't like what they say? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. Biggest mistake ever. Never listen to my girlfriend again. I went in that day all chest puffed up, gave them my opinion. They laughed in my face, flipped me upside down, and put me in a trash can.
Yeah, that's what your opinion's worth.
Yes, and I think most of the comments that I was unhappy with were less than nice comments about my sisters.
Oh, yes.
So,
yes.
Again, like to be a man and stand up for myself, but at 140 pounds, not being able to even withstand a 15-mile-an-hour wind at that point, dealing with the guys, I mean, one punch and I'd have been dead. Dead.
Yeah. Yeah,
These guys
absolutely.
didn't get angry. They saw red and people died.
Red and dead.
Red and dead. So yeah, that was, I'll never forget that moment. That was one of the biggest rude awakenings. And I was like, oh, I just have to take this. Like, I just have to endlessly take this abuse until I've gotten to a point where I have enough merit where I can bust balls without getting my ass kicked. Because there is that transition, right? You take it and you take it and you can't say anything. And then there's a certain point where you can start to stab back a little bit, and you know you'll catch flack for it, but it shows them that you're man enough to hang.
Yeah.
But that takes time, and you have to put in.
And the whole piece of that is they decided when your graduation was, not you.
Correct. And it was up to them, but it was really up to you and how much you were willing to endure without caving. It's almost like boot camp. Like, they want to break you down and see where your line is and then let you slow. They won't build you back up. They're going to shit on you nonstop. You have to build yourself back up or become strong enough to be resilient enough to withstand the crap that they're going to endlessly give you, and then respect the fact that you can throw some one-liners at them every once in a while and they'll let it slide, but don't do too many because you get your ass kicked.
Yeah. And I've been pulled off to the side by coworkers. I've always had a little bit of wit about me. And
Yeah.
so shit talking is, I mean, I think it's my first language.
I agree.
So, I had started a new job. I was, early 20s. Again, being raised in the trades, I'd been doing this. I'd been working alongside men for years.
You're a professional.
I was a professional. Went to work at a new company and just giving it right back to the boss. I mean, just elbow to elbow shit talking. And one of the guys pulled me aside and he was like, "Hey man," he's like, "you need to tune that shit down a little bit." He's like, "The boss doesn't like it if you're better, if you outwit him.
If you're shit talking better than he can do it.
Shit talking better." And he's like, "So just let him win. You'll be fine." And I'm like, "Oh,
thanks for the insight."
yeah, it was good insight."
Yeah, and again, I remember there being plenty of times where I could have thrown a real good digger in to the guy that was teaching me or coaching me, but I knew better, because there were a few times I did cross the line, and there was no he got upset. There was, you're going to pay. That you think you may have won the battle, but you are going to lose the war.
And you're about to do a job that sucks. It's going to be hard. It's going to be dirty, and you're going to do it for a long time.
Yep. There were many a days where I definitely was like, man, I should have just kept my mouth shut. And it wasn't like an hour of punishment. It was the whole frickin' day.
Full shift, full benefit.
The whole day. And maybe, depending on his mood, the next day.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I hoped that he was cheery the next day. If he was still in a bad mood, I was like, shit, I gotta do this again. Oh yeah. But again, that is what's missing today. And if people call it hazing and harassment, but it's what makes you a man. It's what made me a man.
Yeah. Again, I think it's the rite of passage. And to my point earlier of they tell you when you've made that cross, right? When you've crossed that pass, that rite of passage, it's not something that you get to stand up and say, "Oh, today I'm a man. Like, I earned my rite of passage."
I've been here for a year, so I'm a man now.
No, and it's really cool because you don't, at least for me, I didn't know it at the time, but literally one day you'll show up and they'll respect you a little differently.
You don't see it.
You don't
notice it until years later, and you're like,
"That's right.
That was the point."
That was the point.
Where they respected me. Enough.
Yeah. You still don't know shit. You're not in charge. Your opinion doesn't matter, but they trust you and respect you now. That they start to welcome you in, right? Because you have at least proved enough worth.
That's earned.
It is earned.
This is again what is I wish could be taught, and what is missing today is people enter the world, the real world, coming out of school, like enter it into an actual functional real world where this stuff happens, and a lot of people aren't prepared. I mean, I wasn't prepared, but at least I was like, well, okay, I got to own this. Like, I can't go back to my father and tell him that the guys were harassing me at work today. I watched my father. My father is a professional ball buster. He doesn't care who you are. When he meets you, the first line out of his mouth is busting your balls. That is his first language, like no joke. And again, he's always been that way with anybody. It doesn't matter who you are and what you are. So I learned that at an early age. Grateful for it now, but just looking at like kids that were never told that they're wrong, or that things are going to be a little tough, or were hazed enough to the breaking point. Like,
Yeah.
that shit.
You're
Up.
yeah.
I don't know.
I
know it's a slippery slope, so I'm like tasting my words, but
well, I mean, I don't remember ever the words coming out of "you're wrong." You just knew you were wrong by all the other words that were coming out.
Right. There wasn't. Yeah. No, they didn't have to call you stupid. You called yourself stupid.
Oh yeah. And you know the other
I
part.
I learned a lot of phrases and terms that didn't exist before I went to the trades.
Dude, I remember being in the shop one day, and the original location was right across the street from our hometown's fairgrounds. And every year they had a big state fair held there, which, you know, carnies are a interesting breed of people. Always bring the fair brings the riffraff into town, if you will. We were in the shop one day, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, is summer day, all the bay doors are open. This dude runs across the shop floor, and here comes 3 cops right behind him and tackle him in the back bay.
In the shop?
In the shop. just another Tuesday. You know?
Was this the actual one of the carnies?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Had lifted some bullshit. Again, we're talking, you know, mid 90s. He lifted a boom box off of somebody, stole some bullshit, and started running from the cops. They caught him in the shop. That never happens in an office. So
no. And I mean, working with construction people, especially other trades, never mind like the company you work for, if they were sizable, like the internal drama that happens there with new employees and the harassment, because it was always great once you got like semi-accepted, or not even. Like, I remember not even being accepted yet, but somebody else came in that was underneath me, and that's all I had to do was deflect. I didn't have to talk back. I didn't have to say crap. I just had to be craftfully aware of what was going on and be like, hey, look at what so-and-so is doing. And they're like, oh, this idiot moron. Then I'm like, yes, the attention's off of me. Slowly back out of the room.
Yeah. You know, another lesson that I remember learning was just because you're not the new guy anymore doesn't mean that you have more experience. And, you know, they brought a mechanic in, and my immediate, you know, primal tribal brain was, oh, I'm not the new guy anymore. I was still bottom of the totem pole. But it was another lesson, because I was harassing this guy like they were harassing me. And it did not go well. And if I remember correctly, like the owners like busted my balls about it, because I didn't earn that right with this new guy. I mean, he was a revenue producer. He was there to turn wrenches and get shit done. I was there to empty trash cans and sweep the floor and do dumb shit. But he was a new guy. So I learned my place in that pecking order, you know, but I was taught my place in that pecking order. Mm-hmm. You know, and then it didn't ruin the relationship. Like, me and that guy got along great. I just crossed the line. And that was a good lesson learned, Because I think the other thing is like you learn to navigate that. You can read the room and you can identify when you've crossed the line and when you haven't and kind of where that's at. And as
You
a
got to learn
young,
the hard way.
you
There's no book on it.
you
You
have to
have to
learn the
cross
hard
the
way.
line to figure
That's
out where
right.
the line is.
And I crossed all of them with everybody.
I did as well. And again, I wasn't the type that could easily defend myself. So once I crossed,
Here it
I think
comes.
that's probably where I learned to just own my shit. Like you screw up, well, too late now. Eat it.
Yeah, I remember trying to hide mistakes.
Yep, that was your biggest mistake.
That was absolutely the biggest mistake. Absolutely. So I spent 6 years there, worked there all through high school. At the same time, I also had like a dozen lawns that I mowed. But I went to work. I left there, and I went to work for a family that raised ostriches. So they had this ostrich farm, and they had, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 ostriches.
Ostriches? Those are some big birds.
Bro, when you're standing toe to toe with an 8-foot fuzzy velociraptor, it's terrifying.
Those are big. They're 8 feet tall.
We had, they had one male that he was top of his head. He was right at 8 feet tall. When he would stretch and he would posture up, he was a big animal. And they have a talon because they have 3 toes. So they have a talon and
The middle one?
Yep. And the old man that I worked for, I called him Pop. And Pop told me one day, he said, look, he goes, every bird on this farm, he said, isn't going to bother you. He said, that son of a bitch right there, he said, I watched him rip a chain link fence 18 inches one day with his talon. He goes,
chain link fence.
Yep. He said, he will split you open. I was like, good to know. Yeah, ripped a chain link fence.
They tagged that one?
The other thing that I like, and so I didn't go there to work at the ostrich farm. They were building greenhouses. So I took a construction job ultimately. But they just had the ostriches. So by proxy, I was involved in all of the care for the ostriches, feeding and wrangling and inoculations. And I mean, if you ever, till you've wrangled an ostrich, right? Gathering eggs. I mean, their eggs are like footballs. So, but, and then there's like different colored ostriches. There's reds, there's blues. From a distance, they all look the same, but like this particular murder bird that I'm talking about, when he would get pissed, and he would always meet you at the gate. Like you weren't coming into his pen. He would meet you at the gate, and he would turn red from the bottom of the neck to the top of his head. All of his skin would turn red. And I mean, like red, like noticeably red. And he was like,
horrifying.
Dude, it's crazy. And he was one of the old birds. Pop had him for years. But he told me one time, he said, I knocked that bird out one day. So Pop would carry a rake handle to defend himself. And he goes, he was coming at me. He said he was not backing off that day. And he said, and I swung that rake handle and it clipped him right side of the head. And he said he went right to sleep. I mean, this is a 400-pound bird. But
oh my God.
That bird never learned. Every day was, I'm about to fight somebody today.
So the next day, the bird would be right back in his face.
But yeah, he didn't care. He's like, all right, round 2, let's go. Like, did not care. Dude, that bird was terrifying, dude. I'm telling you, it's terrifying.
8 foot tall, angry bird.
Yeah. And he would charge. I mean, he would bump the fence with his chest. They have a huge breastbone. So actually when they fight with their necks and their chests, kind of almost like rams do. So they have this huge breastbone. And he would chuck that fence. He wanted to fight so bad he couldn't stand it.
This is ridiculous.
So, it's a good dude.
I don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
I have so many questions, but I don't want to ask.
Well, let me tell you the thing that scarred me the most is ostrich sex.
That'll turn a boy into a man real quick.
You never get that out of your head. Let me tell you. Once you see it, you will always see it. And I saw a lot of it. I saw a lot of it.
Oh,
man.
well, yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know. I don't even.
So, yeah.
I've never seen an ostrich up close. Never mind them getting at it.
And there's a process. I mean, if you ever watch the, National Geographic and you see all of the mating dances, and it's all, I mean, I saw all of it. It was a show. It ended pornographically. It was a show. You think it's going to be this?
Have a good time.
Yeah, it's going to be this like, beautiful interaction of life, and then when it happens, you're like, stop doing that to her. So,
God.
So yeah, so I got to see a lot of that. And then the eggs we would have to gather the ostrich eggs, and the ostrich eggs. I mean, we had some eggs that were 3, 4, 6 pounds, one egg.
The egg?
Uh-huh.
Man.
Yeah. And they lay the egg standing up. So this egg will fall 3 feet to the ground. So the ostrich egg shell, some of them are up to an 1/8-inch thick wall.
Whoa.
Yeah, because
so you can play catch with these things.
Absolutely, shot put. But yeah, you can throw one back and forth. And come to find out, it was so they would drill a small hole in the top and a small hole in the bottom, and they would clean them out. They would blow the yolk and everything out, and they'd clean the eggs out, and then the pop's wife would decorate them. She'd paint on them, and she would sell them as crafts, and people would buy, because I'm telling you, they're 9-10 inches tall. So people would buy these ostrich eggs with these little scenes painted on them, and it was part of one of her side businesses.
I gotta ask just one question. Like, what does one do with an ostrich? Like, what's the?
Just like cattle.
People chop them up and eat them?
Oh yeah, best tacos I've ever had.
Ostrich?
Yep.
So these things were slaughtered?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah, we had to load them up on the trailer, take them to the slaughterhouse.
Well, just being in the Northeast, I don't think we have ostrich sandwiches and ostrich meatloaf, so I can't say that.
They raised them for slaughter.
No kidding. I was going to ask why 2, 3, 4, sure, 80. Okay, there's got to be that. That's what the whole time you're talking. I'm like, why do they have so many?
Yeah, it wasn't a petting zoo. It was a
chop them up and eat them.
Chop them up, eat them,
and it was good.
It was good, and it's an interesting meat because there's like a small window. If you overcook it, it's like eating leather. But if you get it right, it's really good meat.
Comparative to?
I mean, it's gamey. It's a bird, right? But I mean, is it chicken. No, it's not chicken. It's a 500-pound chicken. So probably more to like venison, along those lines.
Got it.
But, we had ground ostrich tacos a lot of times for lunch. And we were inoculating everything one day, and we were trying to capture these fucking birds because you got to give them shots one at a time. And, these pins were, 80 yards by 100 yards that they would in, and there'd be,
So I just picture you running around trying to corral and wrangle an ostrich.
Yes, that's exactly what we were doing. And you end up with this hook that looks like Little Bo Peep has, and it's got this, this U shape on the end of it, and you try to get it around their neck so you can control their head. And once you, now, this isn't easy as it sounds, if it even sounds easy, but I remember the guy I was working with, he had this big bird cornered, and it took off running up the fence line, and he took off running after it. And he kind of swung the pole and got it around the neck of the bird. But at this point, the bird had picked up enough kinetic motion that it pulled him into the air off of his feet. And this is a 220-pound dude. I pulled him straight off the ground, Superman style, dropped his ass right in the pasture. Fucking bird just kept on running with this thing dangling around his neck.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but one of the most interesting things that we learned is if you could cover their eyes. So if you've ever seen pictures, or anybody's ever seen pictures of them putting ostriches and stuff on trailers, they have hoods on them.
They throw hoods on them, yeah. That I actually have seen.
So once you blind the ostrich, they trust you entirely. You can walk that bird off of a cliff and they'll never fight you. So, yep. So we would capture him. We would put hoods on him. And then once you did that, you could walk that bird right on a trailer.
One more question. Do they really bury their own heads in the sand?
So they don't, but the reason, so where that came from is because if you see an ostrich in the distance eating, it looks like their head is buried.
They don't actually bury their heads.
They don't actually bury their heads. That was a question I asked when I got there.
I mean, it's the rookie ostrich.
It is.
This is more ostrich talk than I've ever had in my entire life. So,
well, that might be a record. I don't know how you do a comedy bit on ostriches for 12 minutes, but I think we nailed it.
Well, I can tell you, I've learned a lot.
Yeah. And again, that wasn't even why I got hired. We got hired to build greenhouses.
And now you know everything about ostriches.
Ostriches. Yeah, we were doing this kind of hybrid hydroponic greenhouse system. And we had these square styrofoam pots. They were molded specifically so you could set one on top of the other at an eighth turn. So the corners of the pot under it were exposed. And then we used this mixture of volcanic ash soil and worm manure, and we stir all that together, and then we would fill the pots with it, and then we would plant seedlings or small like spuds of lettuce, vegetables, flowers, all kinds of different shit. But we would stack them like 8 high, and every row I think would have like 12 to 15 rows, and these greenhouses were 120 feet long. So you had like 32 plants a stack times 12, and then every 3 feet was another row. And they were all fed through feeding. Like we had this whole tube system up to these injector systems that would feed them.
This sounds like an episode of Dirty Jobs.
It very much could have been. Very much could have been. Because we built them from the ground up. We poured, did the excavation, poured the concrete. Put the framing up, plastic, inflatable duct, heated them with waste oil burners. So, yeah, that was originally why. That was the reason I got hired there, was to help build, and just ended up working with the ostriches a lot until they ended up getting rid of them. They went all in on the greenhouses and got out of the ostrich business.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
So yeah, that was a lot of fun. At yeah, went from there to a factory, of all places, priming
So
boat
when did you
trailers.
get an HVAC?
When I was 21,
And you did all of this other stuff before that?
before HVAC. So I worked at a factory priming. I was the primer for boat trailers. It was me, and then I had two painters. So I would prime and prep the trailers and then feed it to the painters, and that was my job. I did that, and then I left there, went to, where did I go from there? Went to another factory, working nights, working second shift at this factory, and that's when I started my education at the Voc School for HVAC. And then I worked there for almost a year, and then I could, because I was taking day classes, working nights, and then I needed to take night classes, so I started working days, and I think that's when I served my first internship in HVAC. So, yeah, I did all that shit, plus working on rental properties. Plus, I had for almost 12 years, I had like 10 to 12 lawns that I took care of. So I would mow lawns all summer.
Busy man.
It was 70-hour work weeks, 16. But yep, then I got into HVAC because my brother, Matt, decided he wanted to do it. I think I'm going to go in HVAC. I had originally went to college for engineering, and I found out within the first semester that I wasn't smart enough to get through the calculus required. So that didn't work. I also was struggling with the computer automated drafting classes that I was taking. So I was like, oh, I'll do criminal justice. And I got in to that program and took psychology and sociology and philosophy and started taking a lot of that shit. And then it was, I think a year later, my brother was like, hey, I want to do HVAC. And I was like, oh, I'll do it with you. 24 years later.
Interesting.
Yeah. I tell you what though, the second shift factory job was, I learned a lot. Looking back now, I learned a lot working there about just working with good people. I mean, from the outside, I think that, like blue collar people, factory workers have a stigma. And we worked at a plant that did zinc plating. So we would load and unload the racks. That's what we did. And you had usually a four-person team. Somebody ran the controllers, and then you had because we were the night shift, there was nothing else going on. But when you work 8 and 10-hour shifts, I don't know. I really learned a level of appreciation for the type of people that will work in those conditions forever. I mean, the people that worked there, a lot of them had come from factory backgrounds or something, but that was their skill. So I developed an appreciation for that, because I think until then, I had adopted the stigma that, factory workers weren't smart and it was a stupid job, and you do it because you're lazy. And dude, we worked our asses off in that factory, and we had so much fun doing it, and we got along, and we would.
Sad there's even that stigma.
I know, but we would compete with day shift. So we would look at their numbers
Try to beat it.
and we would try to beat it.
I
And
mean, if the night shift can beat the day shift, then day shift's got to step it up.
huh? Well, I will tell you how proficient we got was the plant manager put a production cap on us. No shit. Because we would get through our stuff and we would start processing the next morning's day shift material.
Oh, doing somebody else's job now.
Yep. So they put a production cap on us. So our manager, who totally disagreed with it because he loved to see us win, and we were just, by the way, there was no production bonuses in this company. We just did it to fucking win. We didn't do it for a single penny.
Did you get to go home if you finish it on time?
Nope. We still had to work the whole clock. So
See, now that doesn't make sense.
right. So he would have to go in. He would let us rock and roll for like the first half to 3/4 of the night, and he would watch it.
And then come in and throttle you down.
Yes, he would throttle the line down where it could only run so many cycles an hour. So, but he was like, "Look, guys, just hang out, bullshit, take your breaks. I'm not going to push you. Just clean up. Just you're good." But yeah, we were fucking getting after it, and like I said, not for anything other than the fact of fun.
I'm a firm believer in this. Like competition with others. Like, don't just come to work and do what you have to do. Come to work and see what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
See what you're capable of. Whether it's for gain of the company or yourself or whatever the case may be, like, just try. If you do that, I mean, we've talked about this many times. You'll stick out like a sore thumb immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was there a month, maybe 2, and the manager, the night shift manager came over and was like, "Hey, I want you to be my line foreman." And I said, "Nope." And he was like, No, I want you to be the line foreman."
I heard you.
And I said, his name, Casey. I said, "Casey, here's the deal, man. I'm not even going to be here a year." I said, "I have to work." I said, "I'm taking day classes. I'm going to Voc school for HVAC. And once I get through that, I'm going to get a job." I said, "So it would not be a good investment for you to make me your line foreman." I said, "That guy," I said, "make him your line foreman." And he did. And to his credit, he listened and he promoted the other guy.
Wow.
And made him line foreman. And that guy was at that factory for 20 years. The guy that he promoted was at that factory for almost 20 years. Yep. I was like, I'll work for him. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. But we just had that culture. We had that small group. We were just fucking getting after it and had a lot of fun doing it. And shit went sideways, and whatever can go wrong in a factory went wrong. And, I got in arguments with the foreman and the boss, and there was all the drama and all the bullshit that you would expect. But, at the end of the day, they were really good people. And I learned a lot working there for $8.42 an hour. Because the 42 cents an hour was the night shift benefit.
Differential?
That was the differential.
Come on.
Swear to God. $8.42 an hour. I'd work till we a lot of times we'd work over. So I'd work till 1 or 2 in the morning, and then I'd go home and sleep, and I'd get up and I'd have to be at the Voc school at 8. So get up, drive half an hour to the Voc school to learn HVAC.
Good for you.
So
Need more people like that.
I guess, I don't know. I mean, I don't remember believing that there was another option. That was just the path that we chose, you know?
You're correct. There wasn't another option.
Yeah. I had this thought the other day, and this would probably be a good place to start to turn this down. It didn't happen to me, but I was thinking about the confrontational perspective, or the confrontational idea of a customer telling you that you're too expensive. And I took this little trip in my mind of being in front of a customer and them telling me that I'm too expensive, and recognizing that in that moment you can't tell the person that you used to work nights so you could go to school during the day, and then you work during the day so you could go to school at night so you could get this certification to get into this craft. And then you can't sit there and tell him that you've worked thousands and thousands of hours of overtime and emergency call out, and that you've been inside tens of thousands of people's homes, and that you've done everything wrong possible, and you've had the bad experiences, and you've been in the freezing cold and the hot weather and the nasty attics and the sewer filled crawl spaces, and how much it has affected your health and your relationship and your mental health, and you do it for fucking pennies, and you do it for decades just to get in front of that customer and to have them tell you that you're too expensive. You can't defend yourself with everything that you've done to get there. All the experiences that you've done, as we're going through this trip down memory lane today, being 13 years old and being dropped into a mechanic shop and being picked up every day after school by my stepdad, who would take me back to the shop so I could work for 2 hours sweeping floors, that got me in front of that customer 30 years later, just for them to tell me that I'm too expensive. And it's like,
I do know.
Yeah. And I think everybody listening knows, but for some reason, I took that trip in my mind, and then as I came back, I just kind of laughed, and I'm like, yeah, that's the shit we do, man. We fucking take it on the chin.
Over again.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what the point of that was, other than the fact that I was just sharing it. But it's all good. So, well, we've got 12 minutes till our boot camp. So let's get this wrapped up. So anyway, you can find us on Instagram at Blue Collar Insiders. The email is thetradesmanexperience@gmail.com. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Get out there, get shit done. Be proud to be a tradesman. See ya.